Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland. Well, this video is bye-bye Paul Ryan, because several months ago, Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House of Representatives, announced that he was bowing out of electoral politics. He'd probably still be a prime mover within the Republican Party, I think in demand at some of their conferences and so on, doing book tours, making a lot of money from various deals like Sarah Palin did, but he will no longer be seeking election to public office. So Paul Ryan, he seemed like Middle America incarnate. He's Irish-American stock, I think solely Irish ancestry, and brought up in a fairly religious household in more or less the centre of the country, I suppose. Brought up a Catholic, fairly religious, all the rest of it, from a lower middle class family. And he appeared to have quite a lot going for him. He wasn't cursed by being overeducated, by going to one of the Ivy League universities. And he's good looking, let's face it, looks counter politics. They shouldn't, but they do. A lot of people are that shallow. He is strong on family values. Whatever else you say about him, he does appear to have a happy family life. No skeletons in his cupboard there. Now, I don't give a fig for family values, but many Republican voters do. And he appeared to be a good role model. He was fit, going to the gym all the time, working out, although a lot of his voters would be obese. I'm that way inclined myself. So Paul Ryan, he's been in electoral politics for about 20 years now, and he had all the standard Republican opinions. He was a fiscal conservative, a budget hawk, as it was said. He was going to be aggressive in reducing the deficit, cutting public spending. But in his own terms, he has been the most abysmal failure in that regard, with the deficit doubling in about 4 years. Hasn't quite doubled yet, but on the current trajectory, it will get there quite soon. And of course, he tore into Obama for increasing the deficit. Of course, presidents can't increase the deficit or do anything financial. Everybody knows that Congress has the power of the purse. But nevertheless, these are the policies that Obama was advocating for, shepherded through Congress, persuaded his mostly Democrat Congress in the early days to spend this much, raise the debt ceiling and all that kind of stuff. But it's the Republican Party which mostly spends like a crackhead with a credit card, especially when it comes to the military. And it's oh so patriotic to squander staggering sums on the military, despite already being the best armed country in the world. You know, the United States could halve its military budget and still spend more than the next, is it 6 countries put together? I hear different figures, most of whom are allies. So Paul Ryan, he'd risen to prominence really in the early years of Obama, setting his face against affordable care. He didn't want people to be able to afford health care. That was just immoral. It was going to actually tank the economy, not like the economy hadn't crashed without it. You see all the very prosperous countries which do have something actually more extensive than Obama's Affordable Care and Patient Protection Act. So then he got himself made the vice presidential candidate. Mitt Romney picked him. I suppose it was youth and experience and ideas from different parts of the country. Well, they're not really that far apart. There wasn't that too much to separate them. Well, one was a Mormon, the other was a Catholic. That's about it. So this so-called budget hawk was a budget wimp, but he wasn't so well known when in 2008 he stood against, 2012, he stood against Joe Biden to be vice president, and they lost quite narrowly. He became Speaker of the House, as I pointed out. So he was a little bit independent-minded. He had a little bit of moral courage when Trump was a rising star, hadn't yet got the nomination, and he rightly lambasted Trump for his textbook racism because of Trump's vehement and incendiary remarks about Hispanic Americans, about immigrants, legal and illegal, except his own wives, of course. But then Paul Ryan crumpled, and he simply rolled over and accepted Trump, and there was nary a word of criticism from him from that day on. Well, he is actually a very feeble character and has achieved very little, so he wants to spend more time with his family, so he's saying, I suppose he realised he wasn't going to get the top job, and it was a sign that he'd seen what the future augured. It did not look bright for the Republicans. Now, it can't be too much of a doomsayer for them, though I'd like to. I think, the writing is not on the wall for them. in 2020, there is everything to play for. I think Trump will narrowly get it. Unfortunately, I desperately wish to be wrong. But there we are. So Paul Ryan, I shan't miss him. My fear is he'll just be replaced by an even more snarling and malevolent breed of Republican. And sadly, it's that sort of incivility, irrationality, anti-intellectualism and bile which characterises the modern Republican Party.